In this tutorial in Photoshop Elements, I'd like to show you how to create a color bar like what you see in the movie on the screen. Lower thirds often have a color bar at the bottom that fades from a darker color behind the letters to absolute transparent. You can buy these and insert them in your program in your video editing, or you can make one pretty simply using Photoshop Elements or Photoshop. We're going to show you how to do that now. I'm in my copy of Photoshop Elements, and I'd like to show you how to create a color bar that fades to transparent. To do that, I'll create a file, and we'll make it a new file. And all I need to do is decide on the width and the height. Now I can crop it when I'm done. My project will be 1280 by 720, so I don't want it larger than that. So I arbitrarily picked 1100 by 120. I'll crop later, so I just need it bigger than my finished product. I'll click on OK. And so now I have a transparent background, which is what the checkerboard means. I want to add a rectangle of color, and then I want to make it a gradient that goes to transparent. Let me show you how to do that. First of all, I take my shape tool, which is a rectangle. Now, if your shape tool isn't a rectangle, say it's a circle, all you have to do is click on it and then pick the other option down in color. So I'm picking a rectangle to start with. Then I pick a color for my rectangle, and I can click any color I want, or I can do off the color swatches here. Let's take a hot color here, the pinkish reddish color. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use the mouse with the upper left corner to find the upper left corner of my rectangle, and then the lower right corner. I don't have to make it in the center. I can do anything I want, but this will be my bar. So I have a bar and I have a color. Now the letters in the finished product will sit on top of this, but I don't want it solid. I want it solid in the middle, and I want it fading to transparent at the end. Now it's important before you do this that you make sure that the option you have here, and mine is locked here, is to lock transparent pixels. I need to do that because if it's not set that way, any edits I do will also affect the area outside of the rectangle. That can be pretty frustrating. So with my color picked and my rectangle about the size I want, step number 3 is to create a mask. The mask tool in Photoshop Elements is the rectangle with the gray circle in the middle. And so I'm clicking on the layer of the rectangle, and then I click on this tool, and it adds this white box here, which is my mask. I'm going to use the mask to mask out the color on either end. And to do that, I want to use my gradient tool. So I'll click over here, and this gives me my gradient. I'm going to edit my gradient. Now we're going to start all over here with a black and white gradient. And black reveals and white reveals and black conceals. So I want black on either end of this. And so just for fun, I'm going to click on the color. Now when you look in the gradient tool, the color boxes are on the bottom, and the opacity, or if you want to know, transparency boxes are at the top. I'm going to click down here at the bottom and change this color. Whatever box is highlighted will be affected by this box here, and I will just make that one black. Okay, so I have a black color on either end, and I'll do the one in the middle. This just helps me visualize what's going on. And to add a box, you just click, and now I have one in the center, and this color is white. Now the colors are not what I'm interested in so much as the opacity. If I click on the left, on the top button, this is the opacity above it. The opacity here is 100%, which means it's 100% non-transparent. That's what I want, because I want my color to be seen in the middle, and I want my color to be obscured on either end. You can add more boxes to change the degree of the gradient by clicking on the top And let's do another one for fun. We'll knock this transparency down to 0. And we'll do one here, and it inherits the previous opacity. And it's got 4%. We'll bring it back to 0. So now what I have here is I will be able to see through into my color in the middle, but not on the outside. This is where it will fade. And if I want to change the way in which the degree to which it does it, all I need to do is drag my transparency over a little farther here, a little farther here if I want it to be uniform. And I can actually match the numbers if I want to. 12% here. The inverse of that would be, what, 90 or 88% on the other side. 86, 87, 88. And that would be somewhat uniform. So I have the black areas on either end where I won't see my color in my box, and the white in the middle where I will. If I want to save this, I can call it anything I want. I'll just call it test and add to my presets. And now I have one called test here. If I hover over it, I see it. I'll click on OK. So now this is what it looks like. And in the middle, the color will show. On the outer edge, it won't show. How do I apply the gradient now that I have my mask? The way in which I do it is I make sure I've clicked on the gradient, and I'll have this little plus. I want to draw a straight line, so I need to hold the Shift key down, and I can start anywhere near the end of the color box. Hold the Shift key down, drag the mouse to the right. That'll give me a perfectly horizontal line, and then let go at the end. And now I have my reddish color in the middle, and it fades out to transparent on either end. Now if I'm happy with what I've done, I can go ahead and use it, or I can use my crop tool over here, and I can just take a piece out of this if I want. I'll crop it. It'll crop automatically to the size of the rectangle. And I'll click my OK button, and now I have my modified color. So what I want to do is take that, I'll click on File, I can save it in the native format for my Photoshop elements, or I can save it as, and I want to save it as a PNG file. So click down here, because PNG will handle transparent. And then I can give it a name. I'll call this test, and click on Save. And I need to replace it. I've used that before, that's fine. And now I have it. So now let's pause, and we'll put it in our program. Here I am in PowerDirector, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to import the file, and we'll go to the file called test, and here is my bar. I'll take it and drag it down into a video track, and there I have it. All I need to do is drag and drop it. I can resize it too if I want to. And now I have it fading out from the one side to the other, and my letters are in between. Let's see if I can sneak that down a little bit here. There we go. And so now I have a lower third colored background that I designed myself in Photoshop Elements.